Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Make It Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Barkley, and we have a special show for you today, a supplement, a different kind of show, a show like we've never done before. We have three amazing guests. I wanted to play the intro music to X-Men 97, and then I realized I'd get dinged for copyright infringement and be demonetized on YouTube. So better heads came to my rescue and said, Chris, you can't do that. But I really wanted to as a surprise for our guest today. So with us is Lenore Zann, aka Rogue, JP Karliak, aka Morph, and Adrian Hough, aka Nightcrawler, the cast of X-Men 97, here to talk about season 2. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Sugar.
What is the origin of sugar?
It's just part of the show. It was written in the scripts, and I did it back in the 90s, and it's just become a thing that everybody loves.
I wanted to know, because we watched so many interviews with you, and I heard you say that a few times just in your normal speech.
Yeah.
So I love how you sort of integrate character into, like, you live the life for sure. But speaking of the new series, season 2, I think it started July 1st on Disney Plus. I don't know who wants to be the leader here, but jump in and break this down for me. What should we expect from this season of the show?
Adrian, go.
Put me on. Well, lots of stuff. At this point, there's 2 more episodes to go. We've got 8 and 9. I don't want to spoil it, and I actually probably don't remember what happens, but so far, because we record a long time before, and then they change the order of things, and they go back in, you re-record some things, they change lines. There's lots of stuff. We've had X-Force, we've had X-Factor, we've had the introduction of Polaris, and a whole bunch of other characters. Yeah, no, they're really throwing everything in there for this. And then we've had just recently the trial of Creed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's your favorite moment from the season, JP, so far?
I mean, selfishly, the episode that I'm featured in.
Which is a great episode.
Yeah, maybe it really is the best episode, JP.
Well, I also will say it's been really fun to just see. There's been so many showcase episodes.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was so much of Jubilee and Sunspot. This last episode was so much Nightcrawler. We've had a bunch of episodes that have focused on Polaris in an amazing way. So it's been really cool to see some of our members of our cast get to individually shine, both ones that have been around for a while, and even the ones that just joined this year.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the original show, Lenore. I'm curious how you guys and the writers and the team and the producers have preserved that continuity from the original to season 1 to this season.
Well, it's just, they're all fans of the original show. So the artists, the writers have really done a great job of making this a continuation of the original show. So in the 90s, we did 5 seasons. I think it's something like 72 episodes.
Yeah.
And X-Men 97 is just a continuation of that original show. So they wanted it to have a look like the 90s. And the characters, really, there was hardly any time had passed in our storyline from the last episode to the first episode of X-Men 97, even though in real life, 25 years had gone by for us. So, so now we're in season 2 of X-Men 97, and it's still a continuation. So you find out what happened to the X-Men after those original 5 seasons. And they've done a beautiful job, the artists and the writers, of capturing that essence. Even, having Bishop in the trailer saying, wow, we got to get the X-Men back to the 90s.
Yeah.
Because we're strung across time and space, really, at the beginning of season 2.
You bring up a good point about this space, this 25 years. And I know JP, who, by the way, looks like one of my best friends named Bobby. It's uncanny. I can't stop looking into JP's eyes. I'm like just staring into his eyes right now. It's getting weird for
Stop
me.
the way you talk.
I don't know if it's getting weird for you. It's getting weird for me. I just can't anyway. Anyway, you bring up that 25 years, and I actually feel like I should ask the question personally of you and Adrian. Like, Adrian, like, how have you changed and kept your own continuity over 25 years with this particular character? And then, Lenore, I'd love to hear from you after that.
Gosh. Well, every now and then I'd kind of bring it out of my toolbox because it was my very first audition for a cartoon all those years ago. Like every now and then I'd bring it out and say, well, is it still there? Is it still there? And, you know, I've even brought it up to, I've told this story a lot, so forgive me if you've heard it before. My agent 6 years ago or something, I said, I called him and I said, listen, I really want to be up for this big animated movie that's out. And I don't even remember what it was. What I do remember is I said, just tell him I was the Nightcrawler in the original X-Men, the animated series. And he goes, nobody cares about a 25-year-old cartoon. And I was like, oh, guess not. I don't know. And then so it was quite something to come back, you know, 30 years in my case, years later, and have to, first of all, have to audition again because we had to retape the lines from various episodes to,
that's interesting.
You know, can you still do it? Is it still in your range?
Yeah.
And it turns out it was. But this time, in terms of the Nightcrawler, he's got so many different aspects to him. Before he was just sort of soulful, and then he was sad because he learned that Mystique was his mother and she abandoned me as a child. I was too blue for her, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's like, meine Freunde, you know, and witty quips, and then swordplay, and en garde, and the challenging stuff that he did with Graydon Creed in F7. You know, that courtroom scene was like, when I saw that one come across the plate, I was like, okay, dig in, and, you know, just dove in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's changed, and he's growing. You know, the character's growing, and I love it.
Has your voice changed? Even a little? You know how as singers get older, they don't sing like they used to sing? They just don't?
Well, you know, I can get there. I think there's other things in my voice now that weren't there before. I don't know. Other people tell me, oh, you sound exactly the same, but I think I hear different things. And some people say, no, it really depends. I can still play the character. I still have him very much inside of me. And
think of like the Joy Luck Club for voice actors. Where if you remember that movie, the famous chef no longer could taste salt. Just like you say, he just lost the ability to do it. Lenore, your thoughts about this transition over time for yourself personally?
Well, Rogue, you know, is a very complicated character. She has many different emotional layers. She carries a lot of guilt over things that she's done in her past. She's also carries a lot of trauma from being a teenager, being kicked out of her home by her father when he discovered that she was a mutant, and, you know, roaming around the world trying to find herself, and then being taken in by Mystique and Destiny as her foster mothers, only to discover that they were really kind of using her. And that's how she got the powers of Ms. Marvel. Was she was manipulated by her mother Mystique into draining Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, of all her life force and taking it upon herself and getting her ability to fly and her super strength and putting her into a coma. So when she finally found the X-Men, when Professor X called her in her mind to come and saying that he had a safe place for mutants and that where she would be accepted for who she was and she could learn how to use her powers for good. That's quite an emotional journey for any character. And so I carry that with me when I play Rogue. And luckily or unluckily, I've had a lot of different traumatic experiences in my life as well. And I've been able to use those as my emotional homework to play the character. And that doesn't change. You know, it doesn't matter when you come into it, that doesn't change. And you know, in season 1, Rogue goes through another very traumatic experience with the genocide of Genosha and losing, she thinks, both men that she loves.
Yeah.
So she's carrying a lot of weight. And so season 2, it's a slow burn for Rogue. She starts off small, but she's going to end in a much bigger way. And again, without giving any spoilers, I think the fans are going to find it very fascinating to see where she goes.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Just about having an art to pour some of your own issues and trauma and experiences into.
Yeah.
I obviously been in film for a while, but before that I was a musician. I'm still a musician and play piano every day. And if I didn't have the
Beautiful.
piano, I would have been in real trouble. I mean, I've said
Right.
before in the show, mental health wise, I would have been in real trouble without that piano.
Exactly. I hear you.
Yeah, just being able to pour myself into that was like such a huge deal. Now,
And I'm sure during the
go ahead.
pandemic too, right?
Yes.
During the pandemic when, you're stuck there and everything. I mean, music, creating, doing creative things, I think that helped a lot of people through that, both creating stuff themselves and also people watching things. In fact, it was during the pandemic that Disney put X-Men the Animated Series, the original series, on Disney Plus. And that's when people started watching it, rewatching it for the kids of the 90s, and new people started watching it, which is, I believe, why we are back now with X-Men 97.
Well, that makes two of us. I feel like in COVID, I poured myself into this show. Our audience 20x'd, and the rest is history. And I always tell people it's because they couldn't avoid us. Suddenly, they were all just at home. You might as well listen to it. But that's what I did. I think my friends and family did get tired of me because I would just send them like myself playing piano and singing songs and just send them the recording. JP, there is a thing going around the internet, and I feel like around like just social media in general about how the 90s were better. The 90s were so awesome. I wish I lived in the 90s. I wish we could go back to things the way they were in the 90s. Why is that, do you think? Like, what is the vibe there that's going on social media right now around like this love for the 90s?
I think that's very relative. It was better in some ways, for some people at some points during the 90s. Caveat. However, the things that I do think that were better in the 90s, I don't think as human beings, meaning, biological creatures descended from apes, that we were ever intended to know as much as we know. I don't think we were ever supposed to have as much information swirling around in our brains as we do.
Yep.
Especially like on a 24/7 schedule.
Preach.
I also think that delayed gratification is one of the hallmarks of being human, is that we have the ability to be like, I am hungry, and not be like, and now I shall eat immediately. We are able to think in the future of like, okay, well, let's think long term. What are the needs? How is this going to affect me? What are the consequences? And I think the unfortunateness about having things at our fingertips so quickly, whether it's because Amazon delivers it, or it's because the internet is so quick, or it's because AI is so apt to tell us, is that we have no ability to have delayed gratification, and we have no patience, and we have no tolerance for boredom, which is
I found it to be very true with our interns and like young people that were around. That's spot on.
Well, yeah. But I feel it with me. I feel it with my peers, and my attention span for being able to sit down with a printed book and actually read it cover to cover and not glaze over, need to get back to this or something. Like, my attention span is out the window.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I do think, yes, the 90s were better in that sense. Also, the fact that we had tangible media and we could hang on to something and it wouldn't just disappear on us. There's a few others, but there's also some ways that the 90s were a little shit. So,
Well, I always tell people that too, that you're in love with the 90s. I lived it. It wasn't,
I loved it.
It wasn't perfect by any, sense of the imagination, right? Like, especially like in like a genre I love, like in hip hop music, whether you like the way it is now or not, like, it's come a long way. There are albums in hip hop that came out in the 90s that could not come out today. They're far too misogynistic, far too homophobic, far too, like, it's just too much. Like, we were past that as a society, and today is better than yesterday in that regard, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think just watching clips from like old, MTV award shows or something like that, the rampant misogyny, you think of the 90s and it was like, oh, this is where equality kind of lived. Like, we were on the verge of like, female empowerment and Lilith Fair and like all of that. But the way women were treated on award shows and talk shows, and I mean, David Letterman like licked Jennifer Aniston on the face. Like it's horrible. Like what were we doing? Yeah,
I don't
so
even
yeah.
remember that, but we'll go find that on YouTube and put that in the show notes.
Mhm.
And just to your point about immediate gratification too, like a friend of the show, Oscar Boyson, he just did an amazing movie called Our Hero Balthazar. And I think you guys should go watch it. Shout out to you, Oscar, if you're watching. And it's the most controversial film of the year, in my opinion. But one of the things he said to me that has stuck with me is, how do we compete as creators with the speed of the internet and the access, right? So we make a movie and the studio producers, ratings organizations, and maybe rightfully so, say, hey, we can't put this in the movie. Meanwhile, the fan base that's going to watch that movie is a click away from porn at any moment, or a click away from watching a person literally die on the internet, be killed on the internet. Like, we have to be able to reflect the world we live in, and we can't do it. It doesn't move at the speed of the internet, which is
Try the government and the speed at which government moves.
maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe they're trying to move at the speed of the internet too.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so slow that it takes us a good 3-4 months to declare somebody dead. So
Right, there you go.
This wouldn't be Story is King if we didn't talk about each of your stories individually. So I'll go in reverse order and stay right back here with JP. Actually, I should go with Adrian. Adrian, what do you got going on right now? What's happening with you personally outside of X-Men 97?
Well, work-wise, I'm just about to head off to Calgary to do a couple of episodes of a show called My Life with the Walker Boys. And I can't tell you about the part. I mean, there's some discussion about cutting my hair and darkening it and stuff like that. So I'm excited and nervous, but I do a certain amount of environmental advocacy on my own. I'm very much concerned with the loss of old-growth forests. I live on Vancouver Island, where they're down to just a critical amount. And we still have a government that says, oh, well, if they set aside trees for protection or for maybe protection, the logging companies go, which ones? And they go in there and they cut them down. I mean, it's just this horrific kind of, yeah, I actually know much more than I ever hoped about the awfulness of how we treat the thing which keeps us all alive, because we're all part of nature, So, but I do a little bit of advocacy for that and in my personal life. And I've got 3 grown kids, one of whom I'm going to be visiting very soon.
Shout out to your kids. I got 2 grown ones myself. So, and then 1 almost grown. So I can relate. Almost an empty nester. And then my relationship will have to stand on its own merits, PB. Not just doing it for the kids.
Well, I don't have to worry about that.
Wow. Oh, wow. No, I'm just kidding. If my wife is listening, I'm just kidding. JP, what's going on in your world?
What is going on in my world? Well, career-wise, I have a show coming out called Star Wars: The Ninth Jedi, Star Wars Visions: The Ninth Jedi.
Huge. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It's Star Wars Visions, for anyone who's seen it. It's an anthology series of Star Wars done in anime style by various studios. One of the stories they told in particular became popular, The Ninth Jedi, and now they're doing a whole season based just on that one plot line. And I play a very cantankerous droid in it. So, yeah, there's that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm continuing my advocacy with both of my organizations. One is QueerVox, the nonprofit academy and community for LGBTQIA plus voice actors, which is celebrating its 5th anniversary this year. And we're an organization that offers workshops, a free talent directory, and in-industry advocacy to help queer and trans voice actors not only get work in this industry, but also to build long-lasting careers, which is extra challenging right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also Nerds Vote, which is the nonpartisan nonprofit encouraging congoers, cosplayers, gamers, comic book readers, and pop culture fans of all kinds, aka nerds, to get out and get voting every election, every time. So we've got a big one in November. It's a midterm, but midterms matter. So
Absolutely.
trying to get people out.
Absolutely. That's huge.
Great.
Lenore, what's going on in your life?
Wow. Well, thinking about politics, thinking about the 90s, thinking about all the stuff you guys were just chatting about, I got to say, I'm working on a few different projects. I also, like Adrian and JP, care deeply about environmental justice and about social justice and about equality and trying to create the world in a better way so that more people have their voices heard and can have governments that actually pay attention to their needs and their issues. I look around me and I go, look, in 2026, why is there still homelessness? Why is there still poverty with children not being able to afford to eat? Not to have school lunches. And I mean, this should just be something that's automatically like ding ding and a no thought, a no brainer. Full bellies make children be able to focus on their schoolwork better and become smarter people. I mean, it drives me crazy when I see all of these politicians of various parties and ilks fighting over deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So my work has always been somewhat with a political tinge to it. Doing the X-Men, obviously there are a lot of political stories in the X-Men that are told through allegory. But I also left acting for 12 years and went into politics in Canada.
That's right.
Became a member of the Legislative Assembly is what we call them.
Parliament.
Which is, and then a member of Parliament. Yeah. And so now that I'm back playing a superhero again, I love the storylines that we are going to be introducing. I think they're going to be very important and people will see lots of correlations with what's going on in the country and in the world. But meanwhile, I also wrote a memoir called A Rogue's Tale, which is available on Amazon and also on Audible with me narrating it. And I talk a lot about my origin story, how I got to where I am now as an actor, but also as a politician. And I have a new series coming out on Netflix called Revival, which it's kind of like a zombie story. But these zombies, one particular day in a sleepy little town in Wisconsin, the dead come back to life and they want to join the living and they want to go back to doing what they were doing before they died. So it's kind of funny, but it's also very dark as well. It's a horror genre with supernatural overtones. And that's a lot of fun. And it's got some political bent in there as well.
Yeah.
But I'm working on also an animated series, turning my dad's children's books, the Aussie Six, into an animated series.
Love
about a group of little Australian animals, the Aussie Six, who go on adventures around the world trying to help save animals and their habitats from encroaching climate change, global warming, and other stupidities that were brought about by mankind.
Yeah.
And so that way I'm able to use my care and compassion for the world and for its creatures in a healthy way. And I'm also turning my book, A Rogue's Tale, into a script because I want it to become a feature film.
Are you writing
I'm working on that. I wrote the book, then I hired someone to do the first draft of the screenplay, and now I'm doing the second draft. So I'm taking the screenplay and I'm rejigging it myself.
You are busy. You got a lot going on. Listen, here's what I learned. We need the three of you, like in Michael Douglas's, not Michael Douglas, Michael Keaton's Multiplicity. We need like more JPs, more Adrians, more Lenores in the world immediately.
I'll take it.
I'm going to make sure that we put links to everything you guys are up to in the show notes so that everyone watching and listening can follow it, support it, be a part of it. And by the way, I just want to amend to something Lenore said. Listen, what she said about the politicians is true. Also, you got to get off your ass and do something. You got to get off your butt and do something. If a kid is starving in your community, they shouldn't be. Whose job is
Right.
it to feed that kid? If that kid can't eat, it's your job. Go bring them
Exactly.
something. Go help. Don't wait. Go ahead, Adrian.
I love the expression, think globally, act locally.
And you can also get up off your ass and offer to run in your neighborhood. You know, you can run for
Yes.
school board. You can run for the local council. You
You
can
can run
run if you
as
care.
president of your HOA. Like whatever, just
Exactly.
you can do it. The
You
thing
can
is,
make a difference.
the biggest
Yeah.
lie in this century is that it's hopeless, that you can't
Right.
change anything. That's a lie. You
I
can
agree.
change something. You can make a difference. So just go and do it and don't listen to that lie. Anyway,
Right.
that is Story is King. You guys are wonderful. Let's take a quick break to pay some homage to the people who pay for this show, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, shout out to Anthropic for sponsoring this week's episode. Listen, running a small business is no joke and requires all hands on deck. And I'm thankful that I have Claude AI, as well as Nick, as one of those hands. It's brilliant, and nothing eats more time, by the way, than the like sort of administrative dreck, the administrative glut that work in and around content creation and social media management. And now with Claude AI, it's a breeze. Teach it your brand voice, prompt it, and walk away. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you instead of for you. So whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, that's what you're doing, or you're just trying to figure out ideas for your next film or creative endeavor, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter. Now, we use Claude AI for the tedious jobs we don't want to do, all the way to the complex work that we have to do. And listen, it just works. It doesn't skip steps. It remembers what we like, and you can always roll back to square one if needed. Cowork, which I've just fallen in love with, brings Claude Code's agentic power to your desktop. No terminal required, so anyone can use it and have Claude to do real work. Point it to a folder in your computer, add connectors like Google Drive and Gmail, describe what you need, and it handles the rest. Connects to a bunch of other stuff too that we use like Postly and, for example, Canva, and pretty soon even Riverside. So this is just like becoming better and better and better. And you can just queue up tasks and come back to finished work. And now with Dispatch, which is on your cell phone, you can send tasks from your phone to Claude and execute these tasks on your desktop while you're on the go, which is kind of like magic. So for problems worth solving, get started with Claude at claudeai.com/make it. That's claudeai.com/make it. Check out Claude Pro, which features all the amenities we mentioned with this app in today's episode. Again, claudeai.com/make it. And now back to the show. And we are back to the show with our wonderful guests, JP, Adrian, and Lenore. They are Rogue, Morph, and Nightcrawler on X-Men 97, and we should hop into some filmmaker Q&A. And one of the first questions is about just being a voice actor. We've had the privilege of interviewing so many live action actors and actresses, but not a lot of voice actors. And it is different, and it is acting, and it's a unique skill set. I am curious, I'll ask you, Lenore, to start, because you kind of hinted at it a little bit in our previous segment. Which of your characters' traits or identities sort of match the most with you, and which ones are least like you? So it's harder to sort of get there because you're not like Rogue, let's say, at all in that way.
Well, I think it's interesting, but I think most actors, we find something of ourselves in the characters we play. It may not be the whole thing. It's like one of my favorite actors is Anthony. Oh my gosh, Anthony.
Hopkins.
Yes, and he said, he's obviously not. He might be a carnivore, but he doesn't eat people. but he could find, humanity in even, in Hannibal Lecter.
Mhm.
He can find parts of himself in whatever character. You could be playing, Richard the third, or you could be playing any kind of character, and you can find parts of yourself in that character and then draw from that. And so every character I play has some of me in them. I did play a character who was a really evil character. I don't tend to get cast in those characters, but I love playing them. I played a character called Master Cyclonus in an animated series.
Sounds like it needs antibiotics.
Right? She is a show called Stormhawks, and she wants to rule the universe. And she is pure evil.
Yes.
But she's lonely, she's lonely. And, you can see where her nefariousness and her evil comes from, because she hates the fact that other people are happy.
Yes.
And, so you can discern things from these different characters, that I think it comes from a place of compassion too, and realizing that everybody's human. And so for me as an actor, that's a lot of fun. A rogue is a lot like me. I'm a lot like her. She is one of the characters that I relate to the most, and I've played a ton of characters in my life. Marilyn Monroe was one of my early characters, and I played her many times over a period of about 20 years. And I found pieces of Marilyn that were very similar to me as well. And so she's another one of my favorite characters that I've played.
I love that. And JP, is it true that you do like 12 different voices?
I'm sure he does more than that.
Like
Or-
different voice prints?
Like different characters within this sort of Marvel universe? Don't you do like more?
Yes. Yeah, in Marvel, I actually started out years ago doing The Vision, and in this wacky little show called Marvel Mashups, which was basically like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where they would take the old Marvel shows and they would cut them up and redub them with new voices. So I did everybody from The Vision to Hawkeye to Scarlet Witch to Black Cat to... It was nuts. It was...
Scarlet Witch? What? Sorry, it's just amazing.
Hello, Iron Man. I am Scarlet Witch. Do you like how I look? Yeah, she was deeply Russian for some reason.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, or Black Cat, I was basically just doing Lauren Bacall doing her High Point Coffee commercial.
Okay, can you give us some of that, please?
Oh, Spider-Man, I've got you in my trap now. If you are guarding the crown jewels, I'll take them from you, and then I'll take your costume, and I'll put it on, and I'll walk around and look all fancy. Yeah. It was a blast. It was like my first animated gig, and they had so many cool people also just doing it, because I mean it was just little bit parts. So the first person I ever saw working in the booth was Tom Kenny, and watching SpongeBob like do his thing.
Yeah.
And also how hard he worked at it. Like it wasn't he never came across as a guy who just walked in, he did 2 lines and he left. Like he was like, oh, that wasn't great. Can I just do that again? I think I really think that I have something else to offer there. And and he was really he was very collaborative in trying to tweak what he was doing, which was very inspirational at the time.
Well, that's kind of my question for you too, is like what do we need to know about voice actors that we probably don't understand or know?
That it's like easy. That's the giant that's the giant misconception, is that it's easy. It's
yeah.
I mean, on one hand, we're not ditch diggers.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's not digging ditches. But people will come to us frequently, go, I really want to be a voice actor. And I say, well, have you worked on your voice for years and years? What voices do you do? Do you read aloud? Like, and I find myself going into this like instruction manual, and I realize that, mostly they just want to, have the thing of being a voice on a cartoon without the actual work that goes into it, and that's,
Yeah.
and it's a craft, like it's acting, are you taking any acting classes? Or, but anyway, I'll pass it back to JP, but we get that question a lot. How do I be a voice actor? It ain't easy.
Yeah, I think one of the great disservices done to our community was by Chris Rock, bless him, very talented man, who said very publicly that it was an easy job. It was the easiest job he's ever done. There's nothing to it. It's super simple. Well, he has a very unique voice. He's a
Very
very
unique
talented
voice.
individual, and he was
Yeah.
already super famous when he got his first gig. So
And
of course it was easy.
The practice is him being on stage for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
polish that Adrian's talking about. You got to
Yeah.
hone that voice and polish that voice and that delivery for 20 years on stage in front of a live audience that's going to kill you if you don't perform it the right way, right? Like to bomb is so tough. And when you
Right.
bomb 10 times, you figure it out.
Yeah. And also, Chris doesn't need this gig to live on. He
Yeah.
has many other things in between. So he doesn't have to come up with any other voice prints other than Chris Rock. He
That's a
doesn't.
great point.
Yeah. He doesn't have to do all of the nuanced different roles like background acting or efforts and action scenes and all sorts of stuff. He just comes in and he does the comedy and that's it. And I think, certainly not against celebrities in voice acting. I think there are certain people, him included, who do fantastic work in voice acting, and it's
Mhm.
nice to have them here because it adds prestige and credibility to what we do. But I think the fact that the workhorse voice actor is so dismissed in our industry is such a pity, because there's so many really fantastic things that we are bringing to the table that most people just kind of take for granted, especially because there's only those little blips of like a show like this, like X-Men 97. Like, this is something that comes along once in a generation, a
Right.
great show like this. There's so many other little performances that never get attention because your 6-year-old is watching them. It's not a big Hollywood movie.
That is a really good point too. Like we leave behind all these performances that are happening sort of right underneath, a certain age limit sort of consciousness. And, editors are having a moment right now, Adrian, because everyone's an influencer. Everyone needs to be. It's like even if you're a real estate agent, you need to sort of be an influencer too, right?
Yeah.
Edit content and put that out all the time. And so if you could, throw a rock and hit a person who needs a really good editor. And I wonder, in your opinion, if you think that's going to happen for voice acting because of AI.
Well, I have 2 unauthorized voice copies of me for Haytham Kenway and for Nightcrawler. I don't know if they're still out there. I put my objections to it. All I can tell you is that the AI voices are theft.
No. Yeah,
And
I agree. I'm saying, do you think you'll get more work because people will make more animation because of AI?
Well,
Because I think the guilds are going to protect the voice, right? Hopefully.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. It's
JP, for
really
those
hard to
listening,
do.
JP saying maybe.
Because any regulation and any kind of guardrails are always like even a year too late, because the technology to copy us and to steal our voices and then turn them into Frankenstein things is out there and has been for a while. And so it's kind of like it's cat's out of the bag. Now, I'm not saying we should stop fighting for it, but we're fighting against a very monetized industry. The tech industry got all the money right now, but also all the debt. So we'll see if it lasts.
That's a great point.
But I just work-wise, I just like, I'm always looking forward. People ask me about my career a lot, and I go, well, the career is behind me. That if I'm looking backwards, going, oh, well, that I did okay, then I'm out of it. I think that the whole point is to kind of keep on expanding yourself creatively and hopefully get more opportunities. I think though that the Australian skier in the Nightcrawler episode doesn't get enough love. It's not, I'm kidding.
The episode of accents that was.
Yes. Well, even like episode 7 of this of X-Men 97. I mean, there's like a Russian, there's a Brit, there's a German, there's all over the place, right? You know,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
and we're all in the scene together.
you do German very well. Like that was, I think, your
Thank
first
you.
accent that you learned, Adrian, was German.
My first accent that I learned was actually British. I lived in the UK for 10 years, and I
I was
would
gonna say, I
wake
thought
up.
you kind of grew up there. Yeah.
Well, I would wake up every morning and I would not speak Canadian, right? And so I would be, and for a while I sounded rather silly, I'm sure, as I practiced every day. But I would absorb stuff because I was in London every day, and I'd hear like a little expression, "No, I mean," and oh yeah, I love that, you know. And so I learned different accents while I was there, and my
You're right, babes.
grandfather. What's that?
You're right, babes.
Right, laugh, yeah. But my grandfather lived in the north and had a very unique accent, which almost doesn't exist anymore. So I would just gather, I was just like absorbing all these different sounds. But that's everybody in the UK. So when I moved back to this side, I had a whole tool bag of skills, and you know that I worked English with English actors, I worked Scottish with Scottish actors, I've worked Irish with Irish actors, Cockney with Cockney actors. You know, like that was my sort of goal. So I became for the dialect thing was sort of like a lifelong obsession to me. And I don't even remember what the question was. What was it?
No, I just was quipping that German might have been your first that you learned.
Yeah.
Beyond
Oh yeah. It was
what I
up
really
there.
meant was sort of outside of your British accent,
Yeah.
and just your ability to sort of deploy those is and polish them, and that's sort of part of the journey of doing this. Because to me, just to your point about AI, it's like if I had an AI animation that I built, to me it would be more expensive, less accurate, less quality, less polished, and more difficult to try to steal your voice or any of your voices and put them in these characters than to just hire you.
From your lips to God's ears, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everything.
I just, I think the answer to the question of why would they is by and large, they won't. And in the sense of Marvel is not necessarily going to use Adrian's voice print to replace Nightcrawler or Lenore's to replace Rogue or I'm not signing off on it. That's for damn sure. But, there's, because we're the emotional carriage of the show. However, as I mentioned, we're workhorse voice actors. There's so many other things that we do aside from play these leading, lovely roles, like the background chatter, the non-playable characters, the ancillary little things that people care a little bit less about, and so that they will use either our voice prints or more likely a generative meat grinder voice print to fill in those things. And those are the things that really, as a workhorse voice actor, that keep us employed and keep us bouncing from
Got
gig
it.
to gig. And so it's the unfortunate thing that people I'm afraid of is that people will say, Morph left the business. Where is Morph? Why isn't Morph doing Morph anymore? And it's like, well, Morph was waiting 365 days between recording seasons, and there was no work in between because the other
Yeah.
gigs are just the smaller gigs. So Morph had to go into real estate. Sorry,
Right.
Morph.
Right, exactly.
Become an influencer too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
So Lenore, you mentioned leaving for 12 years. I mean, is there any role, any sort of live action role that could happen that would pull you away from voice acting forever? Or you think you're in it for life? Are you back for good, I guess is what I'm asking?
Yeah. Yes, sugar, I'm back.
All right, good.
I am back. But like I said, now I'm also creating stuff.
Yeah.
I'm creating things. I'm writing. I wrote a play back a number of years ago now about Marilyn Monroe because they always say write what you know.
Yes.
And I wanted to write a play, and I wanted to do it in New York off Broadway. And so I just started writing this one-woman play about Marilyn Monroe, about Marilyn at the end of her life, looking back. And I managed to do it and get it produced off Broadway. And people loved my writing. And I made it very political too, because I talked about in it how here was Marilyn, this beautiful woman, 36 years old, being told by Hollywood she was over the hill
Yeah.
and being told she couldn't play anything except dumb blondes. And so what did she do? She formed her first production company herself. She was the very first Hollywood star to form her own production company. Nobody else had done it before. They'd all were slaves of the studios.
Mhm.
And everybody made fun of her for it because they're like, oh, who does she think she is? This dumb blonde, you know?
Right.
Meanwhile, she produced a lot of really good films. Prince and the Showgirl, Bus Stop, a bunch of different things. But she couldn't seem to break out of this stereotype that Hollywood had placed upon her. And
Yeah.
so my play was about what it's like to be a woman being stuck in a box that society wants to keep you in. But you're so much more than that.
Yes.
And to be able to express who you are in a way. And this, and this was the 1950s that Marilyn lived. She died in 62. And so people loved my politics, the stuff I was talking about. And also I wanted to teach young women that you could be any size, any shape. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We don't all have to be skinny little toothpicks with little tiny skinny arms that looked like they could be broken in a second with a great big huge television head because you can't shrink your skull.
Right. No,
You know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like I used a lot of that stuff in the play. I also talked about how she loved Ella Fitzgerald and how at the time Black performers weren't allowed performing on quote unquote white stages or forums.
Right.
And so
No.
she went to the owner of the Coconut Grove and said, listen, if you'll put Ella Fitzgerald on the stage, I will show up and take a front table every night with my group, my entourage, and you'll have the media covering it and you'll have a hit show. And that's what they did. And Ella Fitzgerald said, years later, she said, Marilyn Monroe was a woman ahead of her time, and even she didn't know it.
Yeah.
So, so that's what got me interested then in politics, in becoming a politician. And obviously I would love to play a politician in an on-camera role or some kind of meaty role like that. And I can see that's where my career will be going next. I really want to do more film and television on camera, as well as Revival, which is going to be out, August 26th on
Heck yeah.
Netflix. And I play a quirky, very funny dispatch officer at this little local sheriff's station where, as I said, the dead suddenly come back to life and want to take their place in society again, and she has to deal with all that.
It reminds me of the Graveyard book. I think it's what it's called, by Neil Gaiman, who,
Mhm.
I don't know if Neil Gaiman's still in trouble or not, but he had a bad year last year. But
Mhm.
doesn't mean the book's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
but no, that's fantastic, and this has been a wonderful and great filmmaker Q&A. Okay, guys, let's stop one more time to pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
What's up, folks? No ad here. Just me, Nick Bugs, holding back the tears. Why? Because I couldn't be there with Chris to hang out with the cast of X-Men 97. So I'm jumping in just out of nowhere with a solitary tear. You can't see it. I wiped it already because I couldn't be there with Lenore, Adrian, and JP, who are amazing talents and, most importantly, amazing human beings. So I just have to say to everybody who's watching, you have to watch the second season of X-Men 97. Forget that. Scratch that. Let's go back. Watch the first season if you haven't seen it, and then watch the second season of X-Men 97. Folks, watch it for the art, watch it for the characters, watch it for the nostalgia, watch it for the story, and watch it for the amazing people that you see, actually, the amazing people that you hear on screen, but are off screen doing amazing, wonderful things. And of course, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I got a little Easter egg here in my background just for this episode for one of our special guests today. Hopefully you see it. I'm not going to point to it or anything. It's in this general area here. But anyway, appreciate you guys for being on the podcast. JP, Lenore, Adrian, you folks are amazing. And now back to the show that I missed. So sad.
And we are back, and you know what time it is. It means no things we should know today, guys. No trivia. All right, we have a special episode. We're going to go right into Clear the Set. And Clear the Set is where we find out, it's our bullet round, where we find out interesting little things about our guests. And first things first, Adrian, what are your top 3 films?
Gosh. Breaker Morant. Mephisto. Oh, that's a tough one. What's the it's got to be, what's that Peter O'Toole film? The Ruling Class.
Ruling Class. That is such a unique. What's the first one again?
Breaker Morant. It's an Australian movie. Edward Woodward and Jack Thompson and Brian
Brown.
has one of the best courtroom scenes you've ever seen.
Okay, I'm going to go check it out. I love courtroom scenes. Okay, so seriously, that is great. Papa Bear, I don't think we've ever had a list like that before. That's completely unique. JP, name the film or the animated series that everyone loves, but you just don't get it.
Film or animated series that I do not get.
Or maybe you hate it. Whichever one.
Sure. I'm going to say this one is not for me to get, and that's fine.
Mhm.
It's Yo Gabba Gabba.
Mm.
I was at somebody's house and their child was watching it. And usually, like, shows for little children are not for me anyway, but I can be like Bluey.
Right.
I could see Bluey and be like, oh, this is a lovely show. I can see
Right.
this is really nice. I can see the wholesomeness of this. This is sweet. Yo Gabba Gabba is on drugs. Like, that is not well. That show was not well. And I was very confused by it. So, yeah.
Yo Gabba Gabba fans are coming after you now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, because I was Boss Baby, I inherently have a deep hatred of Coco Melon.
Okay. We're going to write that down too. And yeah, I'm kind of with you on Coco Melon. All right, I said it.
It's Temu Boss Baby. It's IKEA Boss Baby.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that completely. All right, Lenore, name your favorite character not named Rogue.
In anything?
In, let's say, in the X-Men world, and then in anything. How about both? I like a double cheeseburger sometimes.
I'd have to say Remy LeBeau for X-Men.
Okay.
But I've always loved Poison Ivy too, because she cares about nature, and she is who she is because she wants to destroy anybody who is destroying nature, and I really get that.
Okay, I like that very much.
But can I tell you what a couple of my favorite movies are that I think people should see that aren't
bonus
really
coverage?
well-known?
Let's do it, please.
Okay, so because I am Australian, I did see a lot of Australian films.
Mhm.
I love The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith. It's based on a true story about an Aboriginal young man who did a terrible murder because he was desperate.
Okay.
And it's just fantastic. It's called The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith.
Okay.
I loved Picnic at Hanging Rock is another Australian film. And My Brilliant Career, which has Judy Davis and Sam Neill, who just died. Yes.
And Judy Davis.
Right? And that beautiful New Zealand actor who just died, Sam Neill, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So those are fantastic movies. If anybody gets a chance, they should take a look.
I love that you said Picnic at Hanging Rock because that was the play. I did that play in college.
Did you?
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I read the book first and then I saw the movie. That mystery has always fascinated me, where these young schoolgirls went for a picnic at this place called Hanging Rock, which is a ancestral Aboriginal PowerPoint place, and they disappeared.
Okay.
I will say though,
Never to be
the
found again.
missing chapter is so weird.
Really?
Well, because
Okay.
it sort of ends, and I think I can't remember her name, the author of it, but she had a missing chapter that she would only allow to be published after her death.
Really?
And it's spoiler, it's like lizard people, and I was like, what? Because it's
Wow.
so not the tone of the book at
Wow.
all. But yeah,
This
Right.
is fascinating. See, but here's the thing, Lenore. I'm not Australian, so I've seen none of these movies. So I've got some
Right.
homework to do. I can't wait,
There
and a
you
book to
go.
read. Apparently, Adrian, go ahead.
I have two more films that I've seen recently.
Yes.
My friend Natalie Bolt made a movie that is out there now. It's called Holy Days. It is one of the most lovely, lovely, funny films I've seen. Miriam Margolyes is in it. Jackie Stewart, I think. Like these incredible. And Judy Davis is in it.
Mm.
And
She's
that's
great.
what you said. Yeah. And the other one is by Tracy Lehman. It's called Bob Trevino.
Bob Trevino likes it. My
Yes.
friend of the show, I made a movie with this guy. His name's Ted Welch. Is in that movie. He plays the contractor's son in that movie. That is a great movie. I cried at Bob Trevino likes it. Tracy's
me too.
also a friend of the Nashville Film Festival. She, I think, premiered the movie there maybe, and I got to
She's
hang out with
amazing.
her. And shout out to you, Ted Welch, and watch that movie. And I think it's Ted's best movie he's been in. And Tracy just hit a home run. And it doesn't happen that often where a sort of a young or new filmmaker makes such a powerful film right off the bat. I mean, that was great.
And the story of her making it is extraordinary. But
Extraordinary. So this one's for all of you to wrap up, clear the set. And we'll start with you, Adrian, since you're the last one to speak. What's your cheat day meal? What are you eating?
My cheat day meal?
Yeah, what are you eating? Calories don't matter. You're going in.
Organic multigrain sourdough.
Okay. The whole
Lots
loaf?
of butter. No, but I will make toast. I'll make toast out of this. And I'll put loads of butter, loads of fresh blueberries, and a ton of maple syrup on it. And it's presses all the comfort buttons for me. And
Something tells me
could
he's going to
go
be eating that later today, Papa Bear.
3 sets of that.
Oh.
Quite happily.
JP?
you're so Canadian.
And he's so healthy. No.
Took the thoughts right out of my brain. What do you got, JP? What are you eating?
Cheat meal. Probably amatriciana. It's a Roman pasta. It's sort of like a hybrid between carbonara and cacio e pepe.
Okay. Yeah.
It's basically carbonara,
Just
but
came
it
back
has
from Rome.
it has the addition of like some tomato paste in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got the guanciale, it's got the pecorino romano, it's got it's
And what size
Yeah.
pot are you eating of this? Okay. So
yeah.
enough to where
The-
you
the-
can't
the
get out
best
of
way
bed
to-
tomorrow.
It's like when they make it right low, like
Yeah.
it's,
In the cheese where they melt the
Yeah,
cheese on the
it's
spot
just-
and do the whole thing.
yeah,
That is
it's just
so
wildly
devilish.
decadent.
See, now
Yeah.
I want that. Do you do a little like garlic bread with that to dip it up, to dip up the extra? Or is that what you're adding into that cheat day meal? I feel like you got to have that, and you got to have like a glass of red wine.
I mean, yes,
Maybe 8 glasses of red wine.
Yes, to a Barolo or a Montepulciano to go along with it, but
Yeah.
sometimes I need bread. Sometimes I just lick the plate. It depends if I'm in public.
Yeah, exactly. Same. My wife says I'm a child. It's like, you're licking the bowl. Like, well, nobody can see me but you. It's all good. I wouldn't do it in public, I promise. It's delicious. It's a compliment to you. Lenore, what are you eating where you can't get out of bed tomorrow or maybe on death row? What's your cheat day meal?
Oh my goodness. I I don't really have anything like that. I would just say I really love like a cinnamon dolce latte
Ooh,
and a chocolate and
that's
a warmed
2,000
up
calories.
chocolate croissant.
Yeah. The chocolate croissants in Montreal
Hmm.
are the best, are better than the ones I've had in Paris or anywhere in the world
Really?
for that matter. I
Yeah.
highly recommend going to Montreal and
Hmm.
eating their chocolate croissants at the most fancy bakery you can find. They're so light they might just float off your plate. If you haven't tried it,
That
do
is
it.
true.
Dip that in your latte, and then that's it. Listen, that drink and that croissant is 4,000 calories. That counts.
Probably, yeah.
That
Exactly.
counts. The only
Yeah.
question is, how many are you having on your cheat day? 3, 4,
Only
5,
one. No.
7, 8, 9? No? Okay, just
One.
one. See that?
And
She's lying to us.
I do it without the whipped cream. No whip. No whip.
No whip
Just
on cheat day?
no.
It's cheat day. You can have the whipped
I know,
cream.
but I don't need it. I don't like it.
She's a very disciplined person.
So
Right.
disciplined, even on cheat day. Guys, that's amazing. This is Clear the Set. You guys did it. Well freaking done. I'm going to give you a clap for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now we're going to end this show the way we end every show. And we'll start with you, Adrian. Can you tell the people, what does it mean to make it?
Well, that's such a hard question. When I got to a certain age, I remember that I was upset that there was a little part of me which was beating myself up because when I was 20 and just getting started, I had the idea of what making it would be, which is to be super famous, maybe wealthy, maybe able to get to my choice of movie roles and to play a wide variety of characters as good as so-and-so, like, Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart or any of those people in my mind, or Anthony Hopkins, who is one of my favorite. Now, the fact that I've made a living at it after a while, it took me a long time to get there. I've raised 3 kids. I have, a comfortable life, and I have good relationships with people. I mean, that for me, like what I realized at a certain age that I was beating myself up with those goals of a younger person, and being an adult for me and being happy and like not beating myself up with the things that I didn't achieve, with all the challenges that were between there and here. I go, my gosh, look at this. I have a career. I get to do this work, and I get to hang out with these people. And, my kids have grown up and they're like just wonderful human beings, 22, 27, and 31. And that's for me, I guess, making it,
Beautiful.
and who knows, maybe there's a great role in my future. I don't know. I hope there's more, and I'll work towards more.
Certain of
But
that.
it's certainly not mega stardom. I think, the people that I have known and been in contact with, like who get to that level of superstardom, their lives are not their own. I have a private life now, and people aren't staring into it all the time. And, making it there and also in a way, there is no making it, because as soon as you are at a place, there really is no place you ever get to, because there's always, oh no, I want more of self creative expression. I want more, I don't know, opportunities, but there's no solid ground of making it. In my mind, because I've had my 2019 was my best year. I was one of the regulars on a series. I was booking everything else. Everything was going well. And then 2020, there was nothing, so there's never a making it. Like, I don't believe that there is a making it. So making it is enjoying your work, having good relationships, good family, your health. That for me is making it now.
Well said. JP?
Yeah, that answer has certainly shifted over the years.
Yeah, sure.
I think Yeah, because I mean, I was certainly somebody who was chasing fame from the get go. I was an adopted queer kid, only child, and I was obsessed with movies. And I had some sort of delusion that if I was famous, I would get to hang out with famous people who would get me and understand me and know what to be me was like, and we would have this connection of being these unicorn people, and that is not true. Um, so I think making it for me, I've made it multiple times. I've made it in multiple different arenas and levels, and in all sorts of different ways, and like if you can see, for those at home in the background, there is a shelf in my bookcase that is just Funko characters of legacy characters that I have voiced. The shelf is almost full, and these are the famous characters. I'm good. If as much as I bemoan the changes in our industry sometimes, and the way that animation appears to be going, I also feel very fulfilled in the career that I've had. So if it did end tomorrow and I had to go into real estate, well, I'm good. But I think for me, it's always finding ways to have impact. It's always finding ways to be impactful and to help those around me and the next, well, not just the next generation, sometimes even the current generation, but just finding their footing in whatever it is they're doing, whether it's because they're in voiceover, or they're queer, or whatever their circumstance is. I want to be of service and be helpful. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm making it. I'm good.
I really appreciate that. Making an impact is making it. I love that. That's good. Lenore, bring us home.
Yeah, I agree with both of my colleagues. And I've got to say, I think we have found each other. Uh, we unicorns, we dreamers who, we see life in many different perspectives. And as actors and as artists, our job really is to reflect that to the world and to society and to audiences so that they can see it perhaps in different ways than they were able to see it themselves, without looking at it also through our perspective. And all three of us are doing that. And all three of us, I have to say, are very involved politically and in a humanitarian way to try and make the world a better place for everybody. And for me, that is making it. In my book at one point, I wrote something about, while I was sitting on the plane coming back to Hollywood for the premiere of X-Men 97 in 2024, after having left the industry for 12 years to go into politics. And then suddenly I'm 12 years older and I'm coming back in my early 60s to Hollywood for a premiere. I said, in my 20s, I spent my life chasing success and running from fear.
Yeah.
But when I stopped doing that, it came. It came. I'm not running from fear anymore. I am not chasing success anymore. I'm grateful every day for every good thing that happens. And when things happen that are disappointing, I say, well, that's just part of the journey. And we soldier on, we keep going. And if we can make life better for other people and make them happy and have some semblance of joy in their lives, that is successful, and we are making it. And I hope that might inspire other people to get out there and do the same thing.
I think it will. I mean, it inspires me. I appreciate all your answers here to all of that. And so many creatives in not just the film space, but across the art spectrum, they live in that liminal space between going for it and being afraid, being exposed,
Yeah.
their imposter syndrome. And if you can just stop running, like you said, then maybe it'll just come to you. Of course, if you have the talent and to Adrian's point earlier, like that can't be ignored. Like, you do need to put in the work. You do need to have polish. You do need to actually try.
Mhm.
You're not going to get something that isn't coming to you in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So, but assuming you've done that, and like you said, Lenore, leave the fear behind. This has been such an unbelievable time, and I thank you each for the time you've given to the show. I learned a ton. Can you guys tell us one more time where we can find the show and where we can find each of you on social media, the internet, support your work? Adrian, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, the show X-Men 97 is on Disney Plus, as well as the original show. I am at Real Adrian Hough on Instagram, and that's sort of the main place that I post, and it sort of feeds over to other things. But I'm not on TikTok. I'm a little bit on Twitter. I'm ADEY800 on Twitter, but I very, very rarely post there.
I followed you on both, so we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe we can talk. JP?
I'm at jpkarliak.com. You can find me on Instagram at jpkarliak. Also, my nonprofit orgs, queervox.org, on Instagram at Queervox Academy, or Nerdsvote is nerdsvote.com at nerdsvote.
It's amazing. And Lenore, bring us home once again.
And I'm on Instagram at Lenore Zann, LENOREZANN. And on Twitter/X, I'm at Zann Lenore, the opposite. And you can get my book again on Amazon or Audible, A Rogue's Tale.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Guys, I love it. And for those just listening to the podcast on Apple or on Spotify, come on over to YouTube and see these beautiful faces. I promise it's a better experience. Once you're here, of course, subscribe, like, share, notify, all that stuff. It's helping out. It's making a difference. And since my friend, my brother, Nick Buggs, is not here with us, he is still enjoying the final days of his Hawaiian luau vacation. I hope he's soaking in the sun right now. Hope he's having a great time. In his stead, I will leave us with the credo, right? So to our friends, family, and followers out there, be better, be creative, be engaged. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.